This is LA Business Spotlight.
Greed is good.
Always be closing.
It's strictly business.
Welcome to LA Business Spotlight. I'm Joel Metzger. We're on location today at the American Film Institute, and I'm really excited to be here. And I'm here with Patty West, who runs the Directing Workshop for Women. Welcome, Patty.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us about your program.
The AFI Directing Workshop for Women was started in 1974, so we're now in its 40th year, and we train 8 women directors every year in the art of screen directing.
Let's start 1974. Let's talk about female underrepresentation in the business for directors. Where was it in 74, and where are we now?
Well, in 1974, I believe it was 0.5% of directors were women, meaning there was probably one woman directing. So I think around the world, people got motivated when they saw that. So now, unfortunately, the statistics haven't changed wildly, but this past year, Dr. Martha Lausen does a report every year at San Diego State called the Celluloid Ceiling Report, and she reported that 6% of the top 250 grossing films in 2013 were directed by women. So 6% is actually even down a couple percent from the last year, but it's better than half of 1%.
Right,
So,
right.
so we think we're making progress. While it's slow, I think there's a lot of cultural momentum now.
Yes.
And it seems like a lot of great attention to the issue.
Right. Now, you've had some famous alumni.
We have. We've trained now over 275 women, which is pretty incredible. And our first class included Maya Angelou. Diane Cannon won an Academy Award for her short film. Leslie Linka Glatter is one of our busiest alums now. She's now executive producing on Homeland. And her short film through our program is also nominated for an Academy Award.
For the not-so-famous graduates of your program, what are some success stories of the people who came through the workshop?
Yeah, we've had so many success stories, but recently, Sarah Gertrude Shapiro, she finished the program in 2012, and she made a short called Sequent Rays that premiered at South by Southwest in 2013. And while she was finishing that film, she wrote a pilot called Unreal that she developed with Marty Noxon at Lifetime. And just this winter, it was ordered to series. So she's now showrunning her TV series based on her short that she did here. We've also had another pilot ordered to series from an alum named Emmy Grinwis called Eye Candy with Catherine Hardwicke, which is great, another female director.
Right.
And then we've had 2 women who just finished their second feature films this spring, which is really exciting. So I feel like we're doing a good job with the training, and they're taking it from there.
Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to go through some of the steps of your workshop.
LA Business Spotlight is brought to you by Icebox Logic, makers of fine handcrafted audio and video. Go to iceboxlogic.net to see examples. Your company needs to communicate.
We are back with LA Business Spotlight. We're here at the American Film Institute with Patty West. And tell us about the steps of the workshop. What about the application process? How does it start?
In the fall, we put up the application, so usually around November 1st. And in the application, what we ask for is a script under 15 pages and an essay, which tends to be about why do you want to tell this story and why do you want to do this workshop. We ask for a work sample, some sort of directed by credit, whether it's documentary or scripted.
So they would have directed something before.
Something, yeah, we do
Okay.
ask for that. That's been something in the last few years that we incorporated, but I think it really has helped elevate sort of the level of experience that the women have and helps position them a little bit better to use the short to translate into their next step in directing.
How important is that piece in your decision-making process?
I think it's certainly a consideration. I don't have the rubric of what percentage, I think it's a little bit more fluid than that, but we do really look at the script, and one of the core tenets at the AFI in the conservatory is story. So we feel like a director, even if they're not a writer, needs to be able to identify a good story. So we feel that, of course, we're training them in the art of directing, so then their work sample is maybe not as important as their story and their background and experience.
And they don't have to have necessarily written the script, they just have to have a script. It could
Exactly.
be someone, okay.
They don't have to have written the script, just have a script. And I do think that piece is really important because at the end of the day, what they do with us is make a short film. And we're sort of greenlighting that short film if they're selected into the program.
What kind of instruction do they actually get once they're in the program?
One part of the program is kind of a working with series. So we try to cover all the key collaborators that they might work with. We'll do a class on working with the cinematographer, working with the costume designer, working with the production designer. You get the idea?
Yeah.
And we also do, everything else that they might do as directors, whether it's storyboarding or visuals in screen directing with Bruce Block, which is one of our favorite classes, working with actors. And then we try to do a couple experiential exercises so that they really get their hands into it, hands-on learning. Yeah. And that's a great step into then making the film over the summer.
Right. And they have to raise their own money, hire their own crews.
They do. One thing that's been great this year is the AFI created a partnership with Indiegogo. And so they've been really fantastic in essentially creating a class for our participants to build their campaigns, give them notes on their campaigns, and then we're going to launch several of them at once. So we can kind of really help them with the fundraising portion. We've also had a grant from Indiegogo and a grant from Creative District to help some participants with that fundraising. But they do raise up to $25,000 or $30,000 if they're coming from another city. We have one New Yorker this year. And that's part of our agreement with SAG. We have a unique Screen Actors Guild agreement with our program that allows Screen Actors Guild actors to come work on our productions with an entirely deferred contract, which is great for the participants and their budgets.
Yeah, that's a huge help. You can get some great people that way.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had fantastic relationship with them.
Once the program is over, the films are complete, where do they screen? What's the exposure?
They really go all over the world, which is pretty amazing. I mean, I'd say many of the films play over 50 festivals. And, you know, Sian Heder, who's now a writer on Orange is the New Black, just nominated for a WGA award. Her film was called Mother, and it won third place at the Cannes Short Program. We've had people win awards at Palm Springs International. We've had people win Student Visionary. Maggie Callie won the Student Visionary Award at Tribeca. Bend Film Festival, all over. You know, they really do a great job with their festival runs, and now that's part of our curriculum is that we do a class both on making a strategy for your short and then also talking to programmers and figure out what they're looking for. So we're lucky to have Lane Needler from the AFI Fest come every year and talk about sort of the thinking and their point of view.
It's a really great program. Patty, thank you so much for being on the show. Tell people where they can find out more about your workshop.
You can find out about the AFI Directing Workshop for Women at afi.com/DWW.
Patty West, thank you for being on LA Business Spotlight.
Thanks so much for having me.
You've been listening to LA Business Spotlight. If you have a company or service and you'd like to appear on the show, send an email to info@iceboxlogic.net.
This podcast was recorded at the studios of Icebox Logic.